Onto this story now, NPA boss advocate Shamila Batohi says there is no crisis at the NPA. She was briefing the media earlier today. For more, we're joined by David Lewis from Corruption Watch. Thank you very much, sir, for your time. Just very quickly, with regards to her confirmation that Advocate Cronje has left the ID and not wanting to really get into it, should South Africans be concerned about these media reports that suggest that she resigned because of a breakdown in relationship between herself and Batohi?
Well, that's been rumoured for quite a long time. I mean, she denies that there is such a breakup, and Advocate Cronje said nothing about it. But, you know, I wouldn't imagine that that's the main issue. I mean, if there is a breakdown, what is more interesting is why there was a breakdown and what Advocate Cronje felt dissatisfied about. And I hope that she clarifies that, because I think it's important for everybody to know what the problem was in as vital an institution like the NPA, and in as important a position as that occupied by Advocate Cronje, previously occupied by Advocate Cronje.
And looking at the fact that we still have so much information that has come out of the State Capture Commission of Inquiry, no prosecutions yet, a lot of South Africans feeling as though there's no accountability, and the ID being a very important factor when it comes to commissions of inquiries and prosecutions from whatever comes out of those. Should we be concerned as South Africans?
Yeah, no, look, I think that we should be. There's a huge public demand for prosecutions, and they're not all that easy to meet. I mean, criminal prosecutions do take a long time. The standard of proof is very high. They're very complex cases, but quite clearly there are also problems. Again, it's. Unnamed sources have said that Advocate Cronje was dissatisfied at the government's lack of support, probably in the form of resources or in the form of fast-tracking appointments. If that is true, that's very disturbing, that government are not even able to respond actively to requests from an institution as critical as this. If they could spend as much money as they could on the Zondo Commission, and I think it was money well spent, then they should be able to spend large amounts of money on the prosecutorial service. There have been rumours, and Advocate Batohi dealt with this in her press conference today, about sabotage on the part of prosecutors still linked to state capture, who are still employed by the NPA. Now, she has denied that there is, as she calls it, direct sabotage, but she does acknowledge that there are prosecutors left who were implicated in state capture. So, that's disturbing. And then there are a lot of unfilled posts and questions about the competence of the prosecutors to handle difficult corruption cases. Advocate de Kock, who I know to be a very efficient prosecutor, has said that they do have the competence. Well, I hope that is so. But I think that, to be really optimistic, I hope that once this sort of dam wall of dammed up prosecutions breaks, that prosecutions start happening more quickly, because there is some low-hanging fruit that I think could be prioritized. And Advocate Batohi said today that they are doing more prioritization, and I hope that happens, because I think it's absolutely necessary that people start to pay the price for their involvement in corruption.
She also mentioned two very important things, Mr. Lewis. She said in her own words that she understood that she was inheriting a battered and traumatized organization. She said it's not something that she expected to be okay as quickly as South Africans expect. So, in terms of what South Africans expect and how long she's been at the helm, her admitting also that prosecutors have that the NPA has no capacity, prosecutors have no specialized skills. How long should we wait? In your opinion, in the 10 years that you've been with Corruption Watch, do you think the NPA is getting better or is it getting worse, or it's just that the cases in South Africa, the corruption cases in South Africa, are becoming more and more in the limelight?
Well, for a large part of the time that I was at Corruption Watch, the NPA got worse and worse and worse. And then the Zuma administration was removed and the Ramaphosa administration was put in, and quite soon thereafter, Shamila Batohi was appointed, and the reconstruction of the NPA started. So it's a shorter time span than the 10 years, much shorter time span than the 10 years. But I think that we should be entitled to expect that prosecutions should have started happening in the last short while or already. And I think it's about prioritization. It's about careful strategic selection of cases. It's about getting the right competencies in place, which is difficult. They should be drawing more on the private sector, although they say that they are, the private sector bar. And it's about getting rid of those who are not interested in prosecuting corruption cases. And effectively, I think it was confirmed today that there are still those in the NPA. But I think, for a long time, I've cautioned people against expectations that are not possible to meet, given the background of the NPA, given the difficulty of prosecuting complex corruption cases. But I think it's now time to start seeing prosecutions. And I think the institution will come in for very heavy criticism if it doesn't start showing some results pretty soon.
I have to ask you one more question, Mr. Lewis, and I know my boss,
Sure.
Basugile Diko, is going to be very upset with me because she says I've run out of time. So if you could just help me and be a little bit short. You have retired. This is your last month with Corruption Watch. What are some of your learnings? What are you hoping the organization continues in the fight against corruption?
Well, I think that the principal objective of Corruption Watch was to activate the public in opposing corruption and informing the public about corruption. And I think that's been our most important mission, and we've achieved that, I think not on our own, but we've achieved that. And I would want them to continue, I would want the organization to continue doing that, which is, I'm sure, what they will continue to do. It's something we're good at, and we do it with real content. It's not just spin, It's based on the court cases that we've taken up. It's based on the investigations we've done. It's based on the reports that we've received. It's based on the policy documents that we've produced. And I think so there's real content to our public communication, and I hope that continues. But I have absolutely no doubt that it will.
Thank you very much for your indulgence this morning.
Thank you.
That was David Lewis, the Executive Director of Corruption Watch.